What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Again, we're here with another like top 10 type of video, and with this video we're going to be going through the best raid bosses or clashes in the game. Now in this video I will also include the ambush characters as well, because obviously after you complete a raid you can have a chance to encounter an ambush in certain conditions. Sometimes they will be put into the Colosseum, but we've seen more times on global that typically the ambush character will be put on a raid boss. Sometimes it is on a Colosseum, but I'm just saying for the majority of times that we've seen, it has been on a raid boss. So that's why I will include the ambush characters in this video, as there's only like what 5 or 6 ambush characters in the entire game, so I don't feel like it's worth it just trying to rank 6 characters. But in this video we're going through the 10. I'd say some of them I use very often, some of them are just really good characters on paper. So we're going to be judging these characters, and this is the character that I have in my 10th position, which is going to be Shanks and Mihawk. So this was a global and Korea first character, recently arrived on JP actually a couple weeks ago, so awesome that that's finally arrived, so now everyone can play with the character. I do feel like he is a little bit outdated, and I think some of the stuff with his special ability could have been slightly tweaked to make him a little bit more usable, but we'll talk about that. So this character is a slasher free spirit as the Shanks character, slasher cerebral as the Mihawk, and when they're combined they are slasher free spirit, quick and int. They're pretty unique in the fact that they have a really crazy special ability, but they boost attack of slashes by 3 times, reduce damage taken by 20%, makes recovery in 10 and beneficial. For a dual unit only being 3x is a bit of a downfall. They reduce silence on themselves by 3 turns, silence being special bind, which is really good. They do stat boost as well. So they have stat boost as their regular forms, and then they'll always have this one, which is good. This is important because their special ability at 13 turns reduces bind, special bind, and attack down duration by 2 turns. So that's a really nice piece of utility. I would have loved if this was 3 turns. 3 turns removal would have been amazing. Unfortunately, it's not the case. But if you are below 50% HP when you activate the special, delays all enemies by 2 turns and gives you a 2-turn 1.75 times conditional attack boost. I love this effect. It's just this. I don't like the fact that your HP has to be below 50% in order to get that boost. If that was changed to be above 50%, man, this character would be used so often, man. And because they are a dual unit, they do get a switch ability, boost the chance of getting quick int and recovery orbs, and for 1 turn, and will also randomize your non-matching slots. This character, actually just noticing it right now, this character could actually work pretty decently on a Douglas Bullet team to just shuffle your orbs around, give you a high chance of getting some beneficial slots. If you know in that dungeon you're going to be inflicted with these debuffs, or if you know that you're going to be falling below 50% to guarantee you a conditional boost, pretty awesome unit to have. So this is the reasoning why I'd put this character on the 10th position. The next character in my 9th position is going to be Magellan. Magellan is like, not too many people are using him these days. When he first came out, and for many months afterwards, people were using this guy all the time, because if you didn't have the legend variation of this character, this was like the next best thing. But even like Colosseum Magellan is used more often now, and I actually like noticed that as I was making this list, the fact that you know, the Colosseum units these days are just like way better than a lot of the raid boss units. Like the raid boss units are just pretty mediocre from what we've seen. But either way, we've got this guy here, the Magellan. So the Magellan, with his special ability, 16 turn cooldown, inflicts toxic to all enemies and delays them by 1 turn. So the toxic is damage that will ramp up over time, and you can stack all the way up to 1.5 million damage with the toxic. And of course you could build your team to basically stall a large majority of time to then let the toxic KO the enemy. This was very useful back in the day for people that didn't have a lot of the rare recruits or a lot of the legends or some of the farmable free-to-play characters. You could literally rely on this character to just KO the enemy for you, which was pretty nice to have. 10 in recovery beneficial for himself. It's like, the unit's not too bad, just nowadays you don't really see him used all that much. Moving on now to my number 8 position. This unit I actually use relatively often, being the regular version of Bellamy. He does have a Neo version, but I'm only talking about the specific normal version, and the reason for that is because the normal version of Bellamy actually has a limit break, which is very important. So him being a fighter driven, he has 5 socket spots at max limit break, pretty okay stats, recovery beneficial for driven characters, really nice sailor ability, 13 turn cooldown, cuts the HP of one enemy by 10%, Psi Int are beneficial for 1 turn for your entire team, and amplifies rainbow orb boost by 1.75 for 1 turn. So I love the fact that he obviously can be worked on a driven team, but he also can be ran on whatever team you want, as long as he can fit, to get a 1.75 orb boost and these orbs being beneficial. Again, this is actually another character that works really well on Douglas Bullet teams, but the main reason why this character is so high is because of this. He has double special activation, so once you max it out, being a free-to-play character, that's very easy to do, and Bellamy is one of the easiest raid bosses in the entire game, max after you use the special. So you can have 2 different stages where you can have a 10% health cut, Scion Int beneficial, and a 1.75 orb boost. This character I use a lot, and this character is great. It's unfortunate that his Neo variation does not have a limit break with double special activation, but man, if you haven't maxed this character out yet, I highly suggest doing so. In the number 7 position is going to be a global first raid actually, which was Raid Rayleigh. This character, man, on his initial release, he was okay, but after he's got his limit break, he was way better. So as for Raid Rayleigh, he is a strength slash a cerebral. The class is very important for this character. 5 socket spots after his limit break. His stats are whatever, it's fine. As for his captain ability, 2.5 times captain to those 2 classes, a little bit of recovery, but he gets this really awesome limit break sailor ability. When any other character uses a special, he reduces his own cooldown by 3 turns, and he also gets 3 turns of cooldown reduction when you limit break him as well. And his special ability, as for what it does, it randomizes your non-matching slots and gives you a rainbow 1.75 times attack boost. So to have a character that you can actually spam on multiple different stages, again, very similar to Bellamy, is going to be very useful to have. Now, the main team that you would want to be using this character on is going to be Legend Carrot, as Legend Carrot can fulfill those classes there. So Rayleigh's getting the full orb boost, Carrot is an orb booster, this guy is your type booster, Carrot special reduces your cooldowns by 2 turns, so already that's 5 turns of cooldown reduction just after activating the Carrot special ability. So you can see where we're going with this. Like, you can literally get this to roll, so you can have multiple turns of his orb boost, or his attack boost, sorry, with Carrot's orb boost. Another thing as well is he randomizes your non-matching slots, so the fact that if you use him on a Carrot team, Carrot gives you really high chances of getting matching slots. So by shuffling them around, you can get another good chance to get some beneficial slots. Unfortunately, it doesn't get rid of block orbs, would have been amazing, but look, it is what it is. He is still one of the best raid bosses in the game, and definitely sees a lot of play still in 2020. Number 6 on my list is again another global first raid boss actually. This was released on the same time that Legend Lucy actually came out, is V2 Raid Doflamingo. This character, the main reason why I have him up so high is because he's really unique, and he's the only character in the game that can do what he does. So he's a driven cerebral unit, 5 socket spots after limit break. He also gets the cooldown reduction limit break ability of cerebral and driven specials will reduce his own cooldown by 1, so that's great. But as for his special, 14 turns, randomizes your non-matching slots, again, very nice to have, including block slots this time, locks your orbs for 1 turn, so that's great. And then if your captain is a cerebral or driven character, increases the duration of class, type boosting, or orb amplification buffs by 2 turns. So this means that if you, hypothetically, on stage 4 of a fight, you activate an attack and an orb boost, then you use this special, like, those attack and orb boosts will go from like a 1-turn boost to a 3-turn boost, which means that you can carry it through enemy preemptive attacks. So there is, I think he's the only character in the game that will extend durations of buffs by 2 turns. And for that reason alone, and him being free to play, of course, is easily a reason you should farm this guy up. The fact that he locks your orbs as well means that you can literally get a full board of orbs with all your boosts, and you can have that for multiple different turns. Works very well if you have Shirahoshi as a sub with this guy, so you can get your rainbow slots, lock them, and you can carry that through multiple different stages. So if the enemy shuffles your orbs around, if you have the rainbow slots locked, it's fine, you can get around that. And of course, because Sabo and Coalla are one of the best characters in the game right now, this character works very well with them, allowing you to extend durations of buffs, which is a very powerful ability to have. So I definitely think V2 Raid Dofi is a character you should farm. Number 5 on my list is going to be Raid Barto. Now, the main reason why Raid Barto is in this position is because he is just a really accessible free-to-play character that can basically tank any death hit in the game. And death hits are always one of the most annoying mechanics to deal with. And having a character such as this being free-to-play, as I said, being easily accessible, I definitely think you should farm him up. So he is a striker-driven. He, as I said, he basically allows you to block all damage. But on top of blocking damage, he also gives you a really nice healing mechanic as well. So he reduces any damage above 3000 HP by 97% for 2 turns. So to give you guys a quick rundown of how this actually works, so what it means is let's say if the enemy does 20,000 damage, so if it does 20,000 damage, you're going to be taking 3,000 damage no matter what, but the excess of that damage will be reduced by 97%. So because in hypothetical situation, if it's 20,000 damage, it'll be 17,000 because it's minus 3,000 times by 0.03 because you're reducing it by 97%. So you're taking that plus the original 3,000. So anything that's like a 20,000 death hit gets reduced to 3,510 damage with his special ability. So no matter what, you're taking 3,000 damage, but anything above that is reduced significantly, and this is for 2 turns. He also recovers 50% of your max HP when you use the special, so even if you're at low HP and you use this special to tank damage, you get a lot of health back, which means it'll enable you to then tank more damage. He also reduces the enemy's attack up, enrage, end of turn damage, and resilience buff. Resilience buffs being the important one there by 5 turns. Upon his release, I believe he was the only character in the game that actually removed resilience buffs. So yeah, this character is very, very awesome to have. He also boosts HP of all characters by 150. That's a pretty good sailor ability. He gets damage reduction abilities from his potential abilities, so nothing amazing there, but his special ability being accessible, free to play, enabling you to tank damage is very important to have. So number 4 on my list is going to be the 1000-arm Cracker raid boss. This guy is pretty awesome to have. Definitely suggest farming him. Great classes, by the way. Cerebral powerhouse. He is a dex unit. Captain ability is a 2.75 cerebral captain with 1.25 health. So for free to play, not too bad. His sailor abilities don't matter too much, but his special ability is important. So multi-staged, 14 turn cooldown, reduces chain multiplier limit duration by 5 turns. So when you get, your chain limited, then you can use him to remove it by 5 turns, which is a good piece of utility to have. He changes all orbs, including block, into dex and makes dex orbs beneficial for all characters, and then cuts 1 HP of the enemy by 20% that ignores damage negating abilities and barriers. This unit is so nice to have, and I've used him a lot in a lot of pieces of content, and because his classes are so good, you can run him on a lot of powerhouse teams, you can run him on cerebral teams, so not only do you just get a guaranteed full board of dex orbs that gets rid of block orbs as well, but he treats them as beneficial. Now unfortunately it's not a multi-turn beneficial enable, which would have been crazy, but saying that though, this unit is still really nice to have. I'm just ranking this in terms of the way that I use characters. I use Cracker a lot. I definitely use him more than Bartolomeo. But overall, I do think that Cracker is one of the best raid bosses in the game, and I would suggest farming him up just because that ability to get a guaranteed full board of orbs no matter what is awesome. Plus, if the enemy does have like a barrier where they need a dex orb to break through it, then you can just use special and you get a guaranteed full board of dex orbs anyway. So that's one kind of unique place that you could use it for, but Cracker is just a really cool character. So number 3 on my list is going to be Ambush Garp. So Ambush Garp, so this character, right, obviously the first ambush character on this list, he's really powerful, and you need to farm him up because he is kind of good for very specific bosses, because there's no other character in the game. Well, there is one other character in the game, but this character just does it better than the other character, right? So we'll talk about it when we get to it, but he's a fighter free spirit strength character, so pretty good classes. Captain ability is a fighter 2.75 times attack and 15% damage reduction. Again, for a free-to-play unit, nice captain ability. Strength orbs are beneficial for fighters, so again, really good crewmate ability. So his special is 15 turns, which is reasonably high, but he reduces the enemy's defense by 100% for 1 turn, so that's really nice, allowing you to just allow you to break through their defense, which is good. Like 100% defense reduction is insane. Also, if the targeted enemy has less than or equal to 25% of their max HP, instantly defeats them. Otherwise, cut the HP of one enemy by 30%. Alright, so to run it down real quick. So in a hypothetical situation, if you're on a boss fight and the enemy, let's say, revives with 20% or 25% of their health, you can literally use his special ability to completely KO them. This is a very unique mechanic that you need to have. Another character in the game that does this was the Rare Recruit Sugar. Rare Recruit Sugar, though, only requires the enemy to be at 20%. This is a lot better because you have an extra 5% of HP to play around with. There are other characters in the game that do KO under a certain threshold of HP, or well, not really under a threshold of HP, but a multiplier times their attack, like Colosseum Shiryu. I think Colosseum Kuma does it as well. There are some other characters that can do it, but this is the best one in the game that does it, because it's 25% of their max HP. It doesn't matter what number it is, as long as it's 25% or less than their max HP, you can instantly KO them. Used him a lot on recent Kizuna modes and stuff like that. This is a must max character, and I highly suggest doing it. He's gonna be very useful to have. Alright, number 2 on my list is going to be Clash Zoro. This character, man, this is the best raid boss in the game. Obviously, spoilers, number 1 is going to be an ambush character, but this is like hands down the best raid boss in the game. You have to get this guy. So he's a slasher driven. A lot of driven units on this list, actually, that I've noticed. Okay, so his captain ability is actually really good for a free-to-play unit as well. Slasher and Driven, 2.75 boost, 1.2 health, and by 3 times after 2 perfects, and 3.3 after 5 perfects. For a free-to-play unit, as I said, for 2 classes, yeah, really, really nice to have. So, 14 turn cooldown, deals 55 times his attack as typeless damage to one enemy that ignores damage negating abilities and barriers. Nice to have. Reduces enemies' threshold damage reduction and percent damage reduction by 5 turns. So threshold and rainbow shield by 5 turns removed. If your HP is full when you use the special, you get a 2 times color affinity to slasher and driven. If you're not at full HP, you still get a 1.75 color affinity boost to those 2 classes for 2 turns. So this character is just bonkers. Like this honestly could be put on a rarer character of how good it is. This character is better than a majority of the legends in the game. Like no cap. Like a lot of the older school legends, this character just beats them out in terms of usability. The fact that he gets damage through barriers, 5 turn removal of the most annoying defensive abilities in the game. Also, you get a color affinity boost to 2 separate classes, man. This character is just too good. He's way too good. Enrage and slot bind self reduction by 7 turns, so you can avoid slot bind, and a support ability, and he has one of the greatest support abilities in the game that sees play all the time. So when you attach it on any slasher, when you reach the final stage, you get a free 1.3 times color affinity boost. Again, another useful ability to have on Kizuna modes, as you know, sometimes your specials are limited or the space on your crew is quite limited. So to have just a free color affinity boost on the sailor ability on the support ability is very good to have. So Raid Zoro, hands down, is the best raid boss in the entire game. And now for my number 1 position is going to be Ambush Linlin. Now, I cannot stress enough how much you need to farm this character up. There are so many situations where if you have this character, it enables beating content so much easier. So let's go through it. So again, class is pretty good. Powerhouse driven, Psi unit, 5 socket spots after limit break, really good stats. Captain ability, 2.75 driven and powerhouse booster. Recovery is also beneficial for driven and powerhouse. Sailor abilities are not important, but 13 turn cooldown for what she does. Reduces attack down, bind, and despair duration by 6 turns. Just that alone is a fantastic free-to-play special ability. So guaranteed removal of 6 turns of attack down, and with max sockets, basically 9 turns of bind and despair removal on the character, which is just absurd, dude. Absolutely absurd. But that's not all she does. She also changes your own orb and adjacent orbs into recovery, which if you're running her on a powerhouse team, that is completely fine, because there are plenty of powerhouse characters that can treat recovery as beneficial, especially if you're using the Zunisha ship. On driven teams, it might be a little bit more tricky, but there are still plenty of other characters that treat recovery as beneficial. I believe the raid Bellamy we just talked about earlier on in this video makes recovery beneficial as a sub, so there you go. Then she also boosts attack of driven and powerhouse characters by 2.25 after the 12th hit in the chain for 3 turns. A 3-turn 2.25 boost, but you gotta remember you have to hit 12 combo hits in order to get that boost. So in most cases, it's basically like half of your combo or half of your team will get a 2.25 times attack boost if you're using her in the right team. So this character, the fact that she has really great utility, she has really nice orb manipulation. Unfortunately, doesn't get rid of block orbs, but it's fine. You're not really using her to get guaranteed recovery orbs a lot of the time, but then 3 turns of an attack boost, which is so good, right? It means you can carry it into multiple different rooms. This character is just phenomenal, and again, another reasonably good free-to-play captain ability as well, can partner up with a lot of the good powerhouse and driven legends. So this is why I reckon she's number 1, just the fact that her utility is so good for removing debuffs on your own team, whereas Zoro is good for removing the enemy debuffs as well as buffing your own team. This character is really good for removing the debuffs that get inflicted to your team, which is nice. But there we go, that's my full listings. Obviously, you can definitely, you know, switch some of these characters around, but I definitely think that Ambush Linlin, Zoro, and Garp are definitely the top 3 on this list. The other characters, you could probably switch them around how you like, but let me know your thoughts and opinions about it. Let me know what you would think as the top 10 best raids or ambush characters down below in the comment section. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.